What's up, guys? Welcome to the video. Yesterday I did a video ranking the top 5 best NBA off seasons. Today I'm doing exactly the opposite and ranking the top 5 worst with an honorable mention. So let's get right into it. Unfortunately, my honorable mention is the Golden State Warriors, my favorite NBA team. I do not think we did enough to compete this off season. We had a good draft night, drafting Brandon Podziemski and Trace Jackson Davis. Really good college players, Podziemski out of Santa Clara and Jackson Davis out of Indiana. One of the best players in college basketball all of last season. But other than that, we signed Dario Saric, a little bit of big man help, and we re-signed Draymond Green. Probably the biggest plus thing we did this offseason was re-sign Draymond. If we didn't re-sign him, I don't think we had a shot to come close to a Western Conference Finals appearance or a Finals appearance at all. Obviously, the one thing everybody knows we did, we traded Jordan Poole and draft compensation, also Patrick Baldwin Jr. for an aging Chris Paul, who in some ways I feel like could help us as far as setting Curry up, setting Clay up, being an extra just IQ guy with Draymond and with Steph. But man, I really feel like he could hurt us in some ways on the defensive end. I mean, with him on the floor, we'd have to run a smaller lineup with Steph at the 2, Clay at the 3, Wiggins at the 4, Draymond at the 5, and that's just scary. The game today is transitioning to big men like it used to be in the early 2000s, early 2010s, obviously the 90s, and what he brings us is just not transitioning that way at all. So it's a little scary for me. I just wish we would have got some more big man depth. So yeah, besides resigning Draymond Green, I just don't think we did enough this offseason. I'm very excited for the season and what Chris Paul will look like as a Golden State Warrior, but I'm also very skeptical of it. Coming in at number 5, the Philadelphia 76ers. Philadelphia didn't do too much this offseason. They drafted Terquavion Smith out of NC State. Really liked him in college last season. And they also drafted Ricky Council out of Arkansas. And he was so good for us in moments last season, but Philly just doesn't really have any space for these guys, especially next season. Maybe in a couple years they can develop into something. We saw what Isaiah Joe was doing on the Thunder right now after he was drafted by the 76ers. So I just hope they do find a role on this team later on. They signed Paul Reed, Pat Bev, Mo Bamba. I like the Pat Bev signing, obviously, for the grit and all that he can give to Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. But they signed Mo Bamba. I also like that because Montrezl Harrell just went down with an ACL. I want to say it is an ACL. So that'll help big man depth and rest for Joel Embiid when he needs it, because he will need it. And pretty much they are just in Harden's hands. They're in James Harden's hands. If he wants to be traded, he will be. And right now he still wants to be traded. Even with the Nick Nurse acquisition, he still just wants to leave Philly. And so really it's all about balancing that. I don't know what this team can get back for Harden, and I doubt it'll be anywhere close to what he can provide. But we saw James Harden can really have some bad playoff games. I mean, he had 2 amazing games last playoffs, but other than that, he just almost a negative for this team. So maybe just a small package for James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid. If PJ Tucker can hit some corner threes, play some amazing defense like he usually does, this team can go far even with James Harden leaving. Coming in at number 4, the Los Angeles Clippers. It's funny that I put them right behind or in front of Philadelphia because they are really the highest competitor in the James Harden sweepstakes. I think it's between them and New York, but I don't think New York is getting James Harden. I don't really think they should even want him. But LA, I believe, should throw everything they have at James Harden and the Philadelphia 76ers. I believe they need him. They need somebody to have Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard surround them and set them up. But yeah, the Clippers didn't have a very good offseason, didn't have a very active offseason whatsoever. They lost Eric Gordon, and that's a big three-point shooter that they need around Kawhi and Paul George. But this team just doesn't really have too much of a direction. They traded 2 seconds for Kenyon Martin Jr., and he was very good at Houston. I don't know what he provides this team besides maybe backup 4 depth or some starting minutes some nights. But other than that, I just don't really know what he provides. So just a weird spot for LA, especially if they don't get James Harden. It's just another year of Kawhi and Paul George probably load managing, resting, even though Tyronn Lue went on All the Smoke podcast and said that they're going to change some things up this year, which I hope they do. They should. This team is too talented for them to be resting every other night, and then in the playoffs, Kawhi gets hurt. And so it's just a really weird situation in LA right now. I hope they get it settled. They have all the talent to do so. But yeah, that is why they come in at number 4 on my list. At number 3, the reigning NBA champions right now, the Denver Nuggets, come in on my 3rd spot. They didn't really do too much this offseason. They drafted Jalen Pickett out of Penn State, top 5 player in college basketball last season. He's a weird, dynamic player. It's fun to watch. He's a guard, but he posts up almost every time he got the ball last season. Just very strange to watch. They had a really good March Madness run, almost beating Texas and going to the Sweet 16. But yeah, excited for him. I don't know how much he'll play this season, but really like Jalen Pickett a lot. They re-signed Reggie Jackson, and we saw him have some spurts in the playoffs last year, have some moments with the Clippers a couple seasons ago. I know that seems like a decade ago by now, but still a good player in Reggie Jackson. They lost Bruce Brown, who's a huge playmaker in the finals. He was awesome. They lost Jeff Green as well, Uncle Jeff, so that hurts. That really hurts. But Christian Brown is stepping up into that Bruce Brown role. He's a young guy, but man, we saw what he could do in the finals, just going at it with Jimmy Butler even some moments. So crazy to see such a young guy doing that. And he just doesn't lose from high school, college, NBA. He just doesn't lose. So we'll see how far that goes. But just a disappointing offseason for them. I knew Bruce Brown was going to get paid, even after the championship celebration and Mike Malone saying, or putting him on the spot about if he's leaving or not, and him saying, no, he's not going anywhere. But that's how it happens, man. This man got $22 million a year, and you think he's going to decline that? No way. No way. They still have DeAndre Jordan, and we saw what he provides in the NBA Finals, just talking to Jokic and telling Michael Porter Jr. to calm the hell down. But really, still excited for Denver, man. They are going to be at the top of the list as far as championship contenders. So it doesn't mean a whole lot to them to be on this list, but I just feel like the loss of Bruce Brown and Jeff Green really hurts, but still all the expectations in the world. Coming in second to last, the Chicago Bulls, man, where they re-signed Nikola Vucevic to a 3-year, I think he's making $20 million a year, which is not bad value for Vucevic whatsoever. But Chicago doesn't need him anymore. They gave Javon Carter $20 million over 3 years. Man, I just felt like they were going to maybe trade Zach LaVine, which I don't know was the best option, but at least give up on Nikola Vucevic. I just don't see what he provides this team anymore. They re-signed Kobe White, which I love for them. I wish they would give him the keys this upcoming season, especially with, unfortunately, Lonzo Ball not really knowing when he's going to come back to play. And man, I miss watching Lonzo Ball play. Miss watching him so much. But this is a weird direction for Chicago. I don't know what to expect for them this offseason or this coming season. Just don't know what to expect for them, and that's why they come in at number 2 on my list. And the worst offseason, in my opinion, was the Miami Heat. So on this list, we have the NBA Finals matchup between Denver and Miami on my list. Denver at number 3 and Miami as number 1. Miami just lost a lot of key players this offseason. They lost Gabe Vincent to the Lakers. They lost Max Strus to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So a bunch of shooting around Jimmy Butler, even some ball handling around him, and just a tough loss for them. They re-signed Kevin Love, which helps a lot. He was a pivotal piece in that finals run this past playoffs. They drafted Jaime Jaquez. Looks like he's 30 already, but he 4-year, 5-year player out of UCLA, and he was a stud at UCLA with Johnny Juzang and Tiger Campbell these past couple seasons. And in the summer league, man, he was awesome. He just sometimes one of the smartest players on the court. So it's going to be fun to see what they can develop him as. Miami loves developing people, as we know. Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, just as I said, Duncan Robinson. These type of players, they have just a great development team over there. But yeah, Max Strus and Gabe Vincent is going to hurt this team a lot. Obviously, they are in the Damian Lillard sweepstakes. So if Dame comes to this team, which I believe he will, probably around the start of training camp, or I don't believe it'll go into the season. But man, if Dame gets there, obviously this changes the whole thing. Damian Lillard makes this team a championship contender, obviously, even when they went to the finals last year. So he just takes them over the top to me. But Pat Riley just didn't do too much to help Jimmy Butler this offseason. Jimmy Butler, Bam, just didn't do too much to help those guys. And I know they've taken not so good teams to the finals and Eastern Conference Finals these past 2 seasons, but I feel like they still need some more help to get over that hump, and they just didn't do that for me. So that is my list, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll have several more NBA videos, and college football season's about to start, NFL. Several more of these videos on my channel up soon. If you enjoyed this video, go watch the previous video I just did yesterday about my top 5 winners of the NBA offseason. But yeah, just like and subscribe. See y'all guys later.